This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there. Jeff Cutastrophe. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, March the 18th, is a Montreal Canadiens icon. He's the president of the Chicoutimi Seguins in the Quebec Major Junior League. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame since 2019. He was once the Montreal Canadiens captain. And in fact, he's the last captain of a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. Oh, that was 1993. Not Canadian as in the franchise, but Canadian as in the national thing. He is Guy Carbonneau, who is 63 years old today. So Guy Carbonneau started out his junior league career with Chicoutimi. That's why I guess he's back with Chicoutimi. He looked pretty good, and in that famous 1979 NHL draft that had WHA players be eligible to be drafted, so some anyway. Carbonneau was drafted 44th by the Montreal Canadiens in the 79 draft. In round 3. Second pick in round 3. Montreal got the pick from St. Louis and took Carbonneau. They took Craig Levy, number 43, but yeah, they got number 44. Other members in the 3rd round. Mark Messier was drafted in the 3rd round. Tim Hunter was drafted in the 3rd round. Rick Wamsley, Willie Mielsen, Lee Norwood, they were drafted from that. Actually, Kitchener had a couple of guys drafted in the 3rd round. Jody Gage went to Detroit, and Bennett Wolf went to Pittsburgh. But that's neither here nor there. Anyhow, Guy Carbonneau was not really a scoring forward, but he was more of a defensive forward, an icon. He was there when the Habs won the Cup in '86. He won 3 Selke trophies for best defensive forward in '88, '89, and '92. Basically, the Selke trophy was his for the taking because he's basically the Patrice Bergeron of his day, or even a Bob Gainey, because Bob Gainey would win the Selke many times, but Carbonneau did so 3 times. He was named captain of the Habs in 1990, and as captain of the Habs, he had the pressure of Quebec on him, but he helped the Canadians somehow in some way win the '93 Stanley Cup. Of course, if you don't know much about the '93 Stanley Cup run, I suggest you look it up, because Montreal could have been knocked out by their provincial rivals, the Quebec Nordiques, in the 1st round. They got the lucky hop in the division finals as Boston, the team that were supposed to be one of the heavy Super Bowl, Stanley Cup favorites, ended up being swept by Buffalo. Mayday, anyone? And then the Habs swept the Sabres aside 4-0. And then the Habs took care of the Islanders, who helped the Habs out because, after all, the Islanders took care of Pittsburgh, the team that was looking for the three-peat in the division finals, thanks to Dave Bullock's Game 7 goal. Montreal took care of the Islanders in 5 games, and then they took on the LA Kings, who also helped Montreal out by taking care of the Leafs in the conference finals. Fuck you, Kerry Fraser. But the simple fact is that, Montreal took care of the Kings in 5. Although there was some chicanery because of the whole Marty McSorley stick thing, that if that was not called, I think the Kings probably would win Stanley Cup. And then the last Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup would have been the 1990 Edmonton Oilers. So we would have 3 extra years on that Canadian Stanley Cup chicanery. Remember, things were weird. But anyway, Guy Carbonneau was an icon for the Habs. He's the last captain of a Canadian team that won the Stanley Cup. Anyway, somehow there was some kind of problems. And Guy Carbonneau, I believe, got in trouble because he flashed a middle finger at a Montreal pitcher while on the golf course. Montreal didn't like it, so they traded him to St. Louis for Jim Montgomery. Carbonneau would only play 1 year for St. Louis before being traded to Dallas. And with Dallas, he actually played a part in the last game at the Forum in 1986. As a member of the opposing Dallas Stars, he was part of the ceremonial face-off and all that. But yeah, it was weird for Guy Carbonneau to be a Dallas Star, play in the game, lose the game, and then Carbonneau changed from Dallas colors to Montreal colors and be paraded at the Forum's closing ceremonies. Anyhow, Guy Carbonneau played for Dallas and stayed with Dallas enough to win the '99 Stanley Cup with them. again doing his defensive forward stuff. After losing the Stanley Cup Finals to the Devils, Carbonneau retired in 2000. However, the Quebec Junior League created the Guy Carbonneau Trophy for the Quebec Junior Hockey League player that was named the best defensive forward. So basically, the Selkie of the Quebec League is after Carbonneau. Carbonneau was an assistant to Michel Therrien for a few years for Montreal, which was amazing. He then moved to assistant GM for Dallas, and then came back to Montreal, becoming assistant coach after Claude Julien was fired and Bob Gainey was named head coach. And then after the playoffs and the Habs choked that 2-0 series lead to Carolina, Carbonneau was named head coach. He actually got to be a finalist for the 2008 Jack Adams Award or Coach of the Year, but lost to Bruce Boudreau. Montreal, what was it? 2008. I think they took out Boston in the first round. I can't remember Montreal's playoff run in 2008, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, Carbonneau would be fired in March of 2009, with 16 games left in the season to be replaced by Bob Gainey. Carbonneau then left for Hockey Night in Canada, or RDS's. No, not SRC's version. The French version of CBC. After, I believe, SRC lost the rights in 2010 to hockey, he would join RDS, or the French version of TSN, as an analyst. So anyway, Carbonneau became Chicoutimi head coach, but only to end the 2011 season. And then in 2019, he was named to the Hockey Hall of Fame, deservedly so. So anyway, 3 Selke trophies and 3 Stanley Cups. Well, Stanley Cup of 86, 93, and 99. Not bad. So in his NHL career, he played 1,318 regular season games, only scored 663 goals. 663 points, mind you. And, he was pretty good. In the playoffs, 93 points in 231 games. I gotta remember. Yeah, I think it was game 2 when Carbonneau in 93 against Buffalo that he scored the winning goal in overtime. I know he did that. Or was it against the Islanders? I can't remember. No, LeBeau, sorry. Anyway, coach of career of Montreal. It's weird how he got fired. And Montreal was doing quite well. There were 11 games above 500. Then he got fucking canned. Like, he led Montreal to a big Game 7 win against the Bruins in the conference quarterfinals, but lost to the Flyers in the conference semis. That's kind of stupid how, Montreal would do such a thing like that. And let Carbonneau go. The guy freaking was 40 games above 500. He was doing decently, and then they just fired him. Personally, I don't like it one bit. So he was Habs captain from 1989 to 1994 between Bob Gainey and Kirk Muller in that run. Carbonneau was great. 3-time Selke Trophy winner. He is a very special player. And, he's carved a piece of my heart. Actually, not so much, but, me. Being a Leaf fan and all that. But yeah, Carbonneau was the defensive forward to end all defensive forwards. Basically, he was the buffer between the run of Bob Gainey being a good defensive forward and Patrice Bergeron. And maybe Pavel Datsyuk, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond.